Most people spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than they spend planning the last 30 years of their life. Read that again. 2 weeks of holiday get spreadsheets, research, budgets, and detailed itineraries. But 30 years of retirement, the longest, most financially demanding chapter of most people's lives, gets a vague hope that things will work out somehow. And the painful truth is, for most people, things don't work out. Not because they weren't smart enough, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because nobody ever sat them down and told them clearly, specifically, and honestly what they needed to do before they stopped working, and when they needed to do it. This documentary is that conversation. Whether retirement is 5 years away or 25, there are specific things that determine the difference between retiring with freedom and retiring with fear. And most of them have nothing to do with how much you earn and everything to do with what you do before the day arrives. Let's talk about a man named Thomas. Thomas worked for 35 years. He was reliable, dedicated, and proud of what he had built. He assumed, the way most people assume, that by the time he reached retirement age, things would somehow be in order. He would have saved enough. The house would be paid off. There would be something to live on. When Thomas turned 64 and sat down with a financial advisor for the first time in his life, the reality was staggering. His retirement account had far less than he needed. His mortgage still had 11 years left. He had no other income sources. His savings covered about 4 months of expenses. And he had been carrying a credit card balance for so long, he had stopped thinking of it as debt. Thomas wasn't foolish. He wasn't reckless. He just never had the specific conversation about what needed to happen before retirement, and by the time he had it, the window for making major changes had almost closed. He retired at 67, not 64. He downsized his home. He made cuts he had never imagined making, and he spent his retirement years managing financial anxiety instead of enjoying the freedom he had worked 35 years to earn. Thomas's story is not unusual. It is, in fact, the most common retirement story in the world. Here is the core problem. Most people think about retirement in terms of a destination, a specific age they will reach, at which point they stop working and life becomes easier. What they don't think about is the preparation that the destination requires. Retirement is not a reward for working long enough. It is a financial state that has to be deliberately created. And creating it requires specific actions taken years, sometimes decades, before the day itself arrives. The problem is that most of those actions feel abstract and distant when there is still time to take them. The urgency isn't there. The mortgage seems manageable. The retirement account seems like something to deal with later. The side income seems like something to build eventually, and then eventually becomes now, and the actions that would have been easy at 45 have become urgent and difficult at 63. The psychological force at work here is familiar. The brain struggles to make the future feel as real as the present. Retirement at 65 feels abstract and distant when you are 45, which means the actions required to prepare for it feel optional and deferrable. There is also something called planning fallacy, the human tendency to underestimate how much time, money, and effort the future will actually require. Most people dramatically underestimate how much they will need in retirement and how fast that day will arrive. And finally, there is avoidance. For many people, looking closely at their retirement readiness is genuinely frightening. So they don't look, they assume, they hope, and they arrive at the doorstep of retirement unprepared in ways they never saw coming. The consequences of under-preparation for retirement are some of the most devastating financial outcomes a person can experience, precisely because they arrive at the point in life when there is the least time and energy to recover from them. Working longer than you wanted to, depending on children or government support in ways you never planned, selling assets you wanted to keep, living with constant financial anxiety during years that were supposed to be your most peaceful. These aren't abstract possibilities, they are the reality for a significant portion of retirees, not because they failed, but because nobody told them clearly enough, early enough, what needed to be done. Here is the hidden truth about retirement that most people never hear until it is too late. Retirement is not about reaching a number. It is about building a system. A retirement system is not just a savings account. It is the combination of eliminated debt, multiple income sources, reduced monthly expenses, and invested assets working together to replace your working income without requiring you to keep working. Most people focus only on saving, but saving alone is rarely enough. The people who retire with genuine freedom almost always have multiple financial components working together, not just a savings balance, but a whole system built deliberately over years. And the time to build that system is not the year before you retire. It is the decade before you retire. So what are the specific things you should be doing before retirement, regardless of when that day is? First, know your number. Not a rough idea, not a hope. The actual number, what your retirement will cost annually, multiplied by the number of years you expect to live, adjusted for inflation. This calculation is uncomfortable. It is also essential. You cannot prepare for a destination you haven't clearly defined. Second, eliminate all high-interest debt before you retire. Carrying debt into retirement is one of the most financially dangerous things a person can do. Your income drops, your expenses don't, and interest keeps compounding. The goal is to arrive at retirement with zero consumer debt, ideally with your mortgage significantly reduced or eliminated as well. Third, maximize every tax-advantaged retirement account available to you. Your workplace retirement plan, an IRA. Every dollar that grows in a tax-advantaged account is more powerful than a dollar growing outside of one. And if you are 50 or older, most retirement accounts allow catch-up contributions, extra amounts you can add beyond the standard limit. Use them. Fourth, build at least one income source that doesn't require you to work full-time. Rental income, dividend income, a small business, consulting work, any income that continues when you are no longer working full-time extends your retirement security dramatically. The goal is not to replace your full salary immediately. The goal is to reduce your complete dependence on a single retirement savings balance. Fifth, right-size your life before you retire. The house, the cars, the monthly expenses, these should be evaluated and reduced before retirement, not after. Every dollar you remove from your monthly expenses before retirement is a dollar that doesn't have to come from your savings every month for the rest of your life. Reducing monthly expenses is one of the most powerful and underappreciated retirement preparation strategies available. Thomas thinks about those years between 45 and 64 differently now. Not with regret. Regret is not useful, but with clarity. He can see now with the honesty that only hindsight provides exactly when the decisions that shaped his retirement were made, not at 64, not even at 55. They were made at 45 and 48 and 52 in the small, quiet choices about what to prioritize, what to delay, and what to ignore. If you are reading this and retirement feels far away, it is not as far as it feels. The most important retirement decisions you will ever make are not the ones you make the year before you stop working. They are the ones you make right now while there is still time to make them matter. The system doesn't build itself, but it can be built. And it starts with a single decision to take this seriously, today, before the window closes.